Apprenons l'anglais en contexte.
Hey Ada, at long last.
Enfin,
At long last. It's so hard to catch you.
c'est si difficile de t'avoir.
It's so hard to catch you.
It is indeed.
You've been moving around for the past, I think we've been talking for nearly a month, right?
Yeah, I've been all around Spain.
J'ai fait le tour de l'Espagne.
I've been all around Spain now.
Yeah. So how was it?
It's been pretty nice. I escaped Valencia one day before what happened.
Je me suis échappé de Valence un jour avant ce qui s'est passé.
I escaped Valencia one day before what happened.
Right.
I had no clue.
Je n'avais aucune idée.
I had no clue. So I feel very lucky that I actually got away.
Je me sens donc très chanceuse d'avoir pu y échapper.
So I feel very lucky that I actually got away.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. So we're going to talk about your travel experience, how you feel about many things, what you've learned from it. And, the very first question I classically ask is, what got you into traveling?
Qu'est-ce qui t'a incité au voyage?
What got you into traveling?
Right. I tried thinking about this, not to make it very complicated, but
Right.
I come from Dominican Republic, so the traveling experience there means like you need to have money. Mostly people just go to New York and that's about it. So I started in 2022. 2020, I was dating someone.
Je sortais avec une personne.
I was dating someone who was traveling for full 2 years. Like he quit his job, he went to Asia, 2 years traveling. And since, pandemic, we were just talking for hours and hours. So he showed me his experience about hostels, people he met, experiences. And I was like, What is this world? Is it actually real? Can you quit your job? I'm like, okay. A year and a half later, I started like a long distance relationship, not with this guy, obviously. And I went to Arizona by myself, 13 hours flight. I had to do like 3 layovers.
3 escales.
3 layovers. And I spent a lot of time by myself because we were just like spending time together. He was working, I was working, and that was about it. And one day I was like, oh, I can go alone to eat. I can make friends. I actually like this. So I don't know if you know the app Hopper.
No.
It's to buy flights and stuff. Back then it was pretty good. I got a notification like buy a flight to Guatemala for $20. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what got me that day because that's first time traveling alone in my life. I'm like, okay, let's do it. I don't know if I can say that.
It's okay.
So I posted it on Instagram because how do I fly from the US to Guatemala for $20? That's too good. And there's a friend from school. We haven't seen each other for 8 years. And she told me, if you go to Colombia, I go with you. You know what? I don't care losing $20. Let's go to Colombia.
Right.
We booked the trip that same day.
Nous avons réservé le voyage le jour même.
We booked the trip that same day and we were leaving in 3 weeks. So I got to Colombia, just 5 days with her. Then she left me in Medellin alone, no plans. I was booking the hostel day by day.
Je réservais l'auberge au jour le jour.
I was booking the hostel day by day.
Wow.
And I was like, so what am I going to do? Am I going to go back home? I was not ready for that.
Yeah.
I met a group of 2 Germans, 2 people from Holland, and a French girl. And they were like, we got along pretty well.
Le courant est bien passé.
We got along pretty well. So I stayed with them for like 4 days. And they were like, oh, we're all going to Santa Marta. You should go there. You can do scuba diving for very cheap prices.
On peut faire de la plongée sous-marine à des prix très bas.
You can do scuba diving for very cheap prices. And I'm like, okay. I followed them. I was working remotely.
Je travaillais à distance.
I was working remotely like that by
Wow.
that time. They were not. They were just backpacking.
Ils étaient juste en train de faire du tourisme.
They were just backpacking. For me, that concept is impossible. Like,
Yeah.
coming from
And it
Latin
kept going
America.
on and on.
Et ça n'a pas arrêté.
And it
Latin
kept going
America.
on and on. It never ended, actually.
Yeah, it went on for 6 months actually.
Cela a duré 6 mois en fait.
It went on for 6 months actually. That unplanned trip, my parents were like, you're never gonna get to this house. You're out of it. And they stopped talking to me for like a
All right.
month. And I'm like,
Okay, so that happened. Then you took a break from traveling.
Puis tu as fait une pause dans tes voyages.
You took a break from traveling. Then you resumed it.
Puis tu as repris.
Then you resumed it.
yeah, the break was unplanned. So I went back on the month number 6 for my birthday. But I actually sprained my ankle.
En fait, je me suis foulé la cheville.
So I needed a cast.
J'ai donc eu besoin d'un plâtre.
I needed a cast for like a month and a half. As soon as I was out of the cast, a week later, out to Mexico.
Well, that's actually awesome. So I guess you were able to meet a lot of people there. And what is one thing that you've certainly enjoyed the most about Colombia? This is actually in my top 5 countries to visit in South America.
And it definitely, Colombia is one of my favorite countries because it just feels like home.
On se sent comme à la maison.
It just feels like home. I went to Medellin, Bogota, and all the place, Santa Marta. And I think the most special about it is the people. Like, it is so easy to feel welcomed. Even I speak Spanish, it's a little bit easier, but a lot of these people who didn't, they would just feel like all this love, people would get you into their houses. They would buy you drinks. They don't have money, but they would buy you drinks. They just want you to feel good in their country.
A little bit like Spanish people, or maybe more.
Way more.
Bien plus.
Way more. I haven't felt that in Spain personally, but...
I mean, to some extent,
Dans une certaine mesure.
to some extent, I would say this is still Europe. So at the end of the day, the openness has some forms of limits here. But I think compared to other European countries, they are probably warmer.
Ils sont probablement plus chaleureux.
They are probably warmer, I would say, and more welcoming compared to, I don't want to mention any place, but I guess, we know. Anyway.
Yeah, actually, Portugal,
that's a very nice place too.
I've been to Portugal probably every month of the year. So people have welcomed me into their house. And I went there in New Year's. I was alone. And this lady at the cafe, she was like, come spend it with my family. And I'm like, so I feel like there, despite being Europe and more than in Spain, I feel like they're very, very warm.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your digital nomad visa here.
I'm very excited. I think Spain has a very good quality of life and it has such a great international community. So
how do you find yourself here in Spain?
Comment se fait-il que tu te trouves ici en Espagne?
So I got a scholarship approved.
J'ai obtenu une bourse d'études.
So I got a scholarship approved to study my master's. I never thought I was going to study again, but I wanted to try living in Europe. So coming from my country, it has to be probably like a study visa or nothing. So I got approved a scholarship and it was supposed to be Germany, but I don't know what happened in life. It ended up being Spain. So, it ended in July. And since I've been working remotely for the past 3 years, someone told me, actually a girl from the US, she's like, hey, I hired a lawyer. I got my visa in 3 months. You should do the same. So here I am, and I actually got my visa approved. So
that's cool. That's cool. You're going to be here for at least a year.
So the visa is up for 3 years, actually.
Wow, that's cool.
Since I'm Dominican, I can get citizenship in 2 years too.
Okay.
So that's the goal.
That's good. So what are some of the cultural clashes that you've noticed here coming to Spain? Despite the fact of having the same language, there are certainly cultural clashes, right?
Yeah. I think people, like, I expected a lot of people to be warm.
Je m'attendais à ce que les gens soient chaleureux.
Warm. Or to be very welcoming.
Accueillant.
Welcoming. And I don't know why, like I've been here a year and a little bit more. I haven't really felt that the way that other people, like Americans, have done. Like I feel like here I've met probably like 2 people from Spain actually that I could say like, okay, we're acquaintances.
Nous nous connaissons.
Okay, we're acquaintances. But that's one thing that, like from my country, Dominican Republic, like if you come here and I introduce you to my group of friends, automatically you have a family. Like they're going to invite you to their stuff. Like it's very warm. And the AC.
Et la climatisation.
And the AC. Summer here, I try to stay because I had a really nice studio and I'm like, I can't. Why people don't do AC?
Pourquoi les gens n'utilisent-ils pas l'air conditionné?
Why people don't do AC? Like it's impossible. I try to go to
I haven't
every
noticed
cafe.
this, actually. I've been having AC several times in different places, actually. So.
I lived in the center. That's probably why.
Okay.
And I went to a lot of cafes, all with like no AC, and it was 40 degrees. And I'm like,
wow, that's crazy. So the thing about the warmth.
La chaleur humaine.
So the thing about the warmth. I know from a Dominican perspective, your
Yeah.
expectations might be a little bit higher than the average person.
Tes attentes sont peut-être un peu plus élevées que celles de la moyenne des gens.
Your
Yeah.
expectations might be a little bit higher than the average person. How do you compare Madrid to some of the other places? You talked about Valencia. I don't know how long you've been there. If you've happened to actually live with people,
Yeah.
spend some time with them for more than a day, how did you find the treatment?
Comment as-tu trouvé la manière de traiter les gens?
How did you find the treatment?
So, for example, I've been to Valencia for probably like 4 times a year, and I also spent just like a month and a half there. Also to Sevilla, like a couple of weeks here and there.
Quelques semaines par-ci par-là.
Like a couple of weeks here and there. And it's also been pretty hard. It's always the international community, even like the international waiters or people who are really not from that place. What I've found from Valencia and people who actually live there that have told me is that they're also a little bit like people from Catalonia. They're a little bit more closed than the people even from Madrid.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is luck because I have friends from here that they do have a lot of Spanish people, Spanish friends. So it's just maybe I haven't had good luck, you know.